Thank you. So you guys all door knock at a high level. And I think what is going to be really, really interesting about this is that Michael and Vincent actually started on the same team and were trained the same way. And then Riley learned from Michael. So I think the core of what you guys all do is probably almost identical. However, I know for sure that you guys all bring very different things to the table. And even, for example, I was trained on door knocking from both Riley and Michael. And even though what they do is exactly the same, they do things, they both have a very different style in the way they do things. So, for example, I learned things from Michael and I learned other things from Riley, and certain things that each of them do that I picked up. And it was really, really valuable. So I think you guys will all come to see that even though what they do is very similar, there's a lot of differences and strengths here. So I just want to start. I'll call on you first, Michael, because I'm weary of Vincent's internet at this point in time. Just to talk about your story a little bit. How did you get to a place where you have such a large business based off of door knocking? And what does that look like? Tell us your story.
Okay, so from the beginning, so I started off my career at Century 21 Heritage Group in Newmarket, and you know what, I come from a background where I just know a lot of people, just grew up in the neighborhood and had a large network to begin with. And you didn't really know, or no one really taught me how to actually put a business together and build a business from scratch. I mean, it was kind of like, okay, I got my license. Why isn't my phone ringing? And that's not the case whatsoever. And you know what? So I was there for a couple of years and I was like, you know what, if I keep going the way I'm going, like I got to figure out something else and I got to make a career change because I'm just not making the money that I need to be making to live the life I want to live. So at that point, you know what, I didn't know what to do, but I knew I had to change something. So I started exploring some other brokerages and you know what, I hopped into Keller Williams, not really knowing much about the company prior to, and I met with a couple others and it was just a great fit in the sense that everyone was really, you know, the one thing that really set itself apart from other places was that they wanted to help you build a business. And that was something that meeting with other people, they just wanted to tell you how great they were and this and that, and all these people that make so much money. And that's cool. But, you know, what do I have to do? Because no one really lays out a roadmap for you. So I came here to Keller Williams and then, you know what, they suggested, you know what, why don't you start on a team? Like you're young, you had basically no experience. I did a couple deals prior to here. And you know what, why don't you learn from someone that's been in the business for a long time? And you know what, for me, I was kind of like, well, you know, I didn't want to give up all this commission, this and that. But at the end of the day, it was like, I kind of looked at it and half my friends were doing internships, you know, at downtown Toronto. They weren't making any money really. I mean, they were doing it for 50 grand a year. And like, you know what, I wasn't making anything. So I was like, you know, what's the worst going to happen? Right. So I jumped into it. I joined a team and learned so much in the first couple of years that I was there. And I definitely 100% would not be in the position I am now if I never joined a team and learned. And what I got into was a big part of building your business was door knocking. And it does. And you know what, that worked for me. It was, you know what, you get out, you get to meet people face to face. And if you're persistent and consistent with it and you do it on a daily basis and you don't let anything else in your day get in the way of your door knocking, you can build a predictable business. And that was really like amazing to learn, and how simple as that may actually sound, but like no one actually tells you to do that or teaches you to do that. So yeah, so I mean, it started going from there, started door knocking. I really enjoy it. You know, you get to, you know, I start my day with it. You get out, you get some fresh air, you talk to people. And you know what, if you can have, you know, 20 good conversations a day about real estate with random people you don't even know and expand your network, you can make a lot of money in this business. So, I mean, just stuck with it. I mean, you know, you knock on doors, you get leads, you put them in your database, and then you follow up till they die or, you know, they sell with somebody else. And that's just kind of how that business works.
Yeah. Amazing. And Riley, I'm going to go to you. So tell us your story about how you're now in position with the business you have from door knocking.
Well, like Michael said, Michael and I have grown up in the Newmarket area for 32 years. We both know a lot of people, but I would never rely on that for business. I don't know what a lot of realtors do. You know, I talk to a lot of realtors and they don't even know what they're doing the next day. And, you know, door knocking gives us a routine. It gives us something to do every day. And it's very beneficial. We both know a lot of people, but I'd say over the past 6 years, or just how long I've been in the business, I can credit maybe half of my business to door knocking. I was a little nervous at the start, but honestly, as soon as you start, I just went in head first, and I haven't looked back. It's gone really well.
Amazing. Yeah, I like what you said there about how a lot of realtors don't even know what they're doing the next day. And this is so true. One of the biggest things that we see in real estate is that a lot of people who get into real estate, they don't really understand yet. It takes some time to realize that you actually become a business owner. And a lot of realtors run their business like a 9-to-5 job and not like a business. So that's really, really key. Vincent, I'm going to go to you next. So if you can tell us your story and how you've gotten to the place that you are at now with your business from door knocking. You're on mute.
Sorry. For me, it was just, I didn't really have any other options. So I came here, immigrated to Canada in 2014, got my license, and I couldn't really rely on friends or family. I mean, all my family was in real estate anyway. So whoever I got to know was a realtor. So I had to basically find strangers to do business with. And I never liked cold calling. So following my father-in-law's kind of footsteps, I decided, okay, let's just go out. And I really started to enjoy it, enjoyed the conversations, getting to know different neighborhoods, and created that habit to the point where, I mean, I'm doing this now, I think 8 years, and I've been consistently doing between 27,000 and 32,000 doors every year. It's such a strong habit that when I don't do it, it doesn't feel right. It's almost like my main job is 3 hours of door knocking every day. So I think if the teacher asks my son in school, what does your dad do for a living? He would probably say he goes and knocks on people's doors because that's what they think they do. And that's how I treat it. This is my job. And I go to work every morning at 9 o'clock and start knocking on people's doors, ask them if they want to sell a house. And then the shift ends at 12 o'clock. And yeah, the beauty of it over the years, I've just realized the results show up. The results, no matter, like, you basically don't even have to say anything. As long as you're out there putting the work out, you'll get the results, and got to trust the process. And I've been doing extremely well. That's basically my only way of lead generating is door knocking. I would think that about 80% of all my business is coming from door knocking. There's the odd referral from another agent, but other than that, it's a beautiful thing.
Wow. And
it's not always, I was going to add one thing, and I think Riley touched it. It's super simple, but it's not easy. So it's the most simple thing to do, but it's hard to do. So
yeah, absolutely. And I love what you said at the beginning of that. You said, I created that habit, because that's very much what it is. Like, there's a lot of people out there that don't, necessarily love door knocking or cold calling or lead generating or whatever it is, but it's much like anything else in life. It's just creating and building habits. And on that note, Vincent, what was door knocking like for you in the very beginning? And how long would you say it took you to really start feeling like comfortable with door knocking?
I would say I felt comfortable pretty soon, which is odd, because where I'm from, it would be an absolute no-go. So I can't even remember of a single person that ever knocked at our door back in Switzerland. It would be considered super rude. Wow. But I was in a position after doing cold calls for a weekend and just absolutely hating it, that I didn't have any other choice. I just got in the business. I spent eight months or so to get my license. I was like, okay, I'm either gonna stop it or I'm gonna go out. And I figured, I think we have too many concerns about doing it. It's people are super nice. I think I'm close to 180,000 doors now that I knocked over my career. Wow. And I would think there's less than 10 people that were really, really rude to me, if even that. So
I always say that too.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. That's great. When you to put it in perspective like that with real numbers, that's insane. And Riley, so I'll ask you same thing. What was door knocking like for you in the very beginning, and how long would you say it took you to really get comfortable?
It took me the first day, actually. I don't know if it was luck, but my very first day, and I don't expect these type of results, but the first day I went, I shadowed Mike for about a week or two, and he shadowed me for a bit. But my first day on my own, I went out. I think I knocked on, we aimed to knock on at least 100 doors a day. It was my first day. I think I knocked on 75 doors, and I had 4 leads and a listing appointment. Now that's not going to happen. Don't expect those type of results, but that after that, I was really comfortable, and I've been comfortable ever since. To touch base on what Vincent said about people being rude, I same thing. I always say I can maybe count on 2 hands how many people have been kind of rude to me over the years, and I always say too, like, if that person's being rude to you for knocking on your door, you're not the reason why they're miserable and they're being rude. And B, even if someone is rude to you, you're going to go knock on 99 other doors and, come across 20 other people that are pleasant. So you can't have one person ruin your day like that. Most people are generally nice. If there's one thing that people love talking about, it's real estate and talking about their homes, and they're interested to see what you have to say. And people love talking about their homes and telling you that they just did their kitchen and they want to know how much their house is worth and stuff. So they're generally pleasant and productive conversations.
Yeah. And that's definitely something that you guys always taught me in terms of mindset, is that something I had to learn very early on with door knocking too, was that if someone is really rude to you, it's not because of you. Like, no one is that mad that you've knocked on their door to introduce yourself. Something is already happening in their day that has nothing to do with you, and you just got to move on to the next. Don't, dust it off. Michael, what about you? What was your experience like at first with door knocking, and how long did it take you to get really comfortable?
So my answer is definitely different. The very, very first door I ever knocked on, I got yelled at. And the fact that I'm still door knocking to this day, most people probably would have quit 100%. I knocked on his door. I walked across his lawn. He stared me up and down, and he was like, even if I was moving, I'd never use you. I said, well, why would you? I'm like, how come? And he's like, because you walked across my lawn. So, and then he was a jerk. Nonetheless, I kept knocking, and we were kind of laughing about it after. But that was my first story. I would say after that, probably like a few days, and then it was just normal. And then now I'm at a point where if I don't door knock, I feel guilty for not door knocking, because I know that's what I need to be doing that day.
Yeah. And that's part of that habit building that Vincent was talking about. So Mike, I don't know if you'll even remember this. I don't know if any of you guys will be able to recall this, but do you remember how long it took you to actually get your first client from door knocking?
I turned that listing appointment on the first day into my first listing, I think it was. But don't expect that. Don't expect that. We have 3 newer girls on the team, and they're outdoor knocking, and it's taken them some time. But actually, all 3 of them have listings coming up right now, and they're all come from door knocking. It took them half a year to really start seeing some results, and that's what it is too. If anyone's going to go door knocking looking for now business, it's not going to happen. We go out and we door knock to fuel our pipelines. Like, we're door knocking for business 6 months from now, 9 months from now. You're not going to get those. Once in a while, you'll come across someone that's ready to go, but for the most part, it's to fuel your pipeline down the road. We talk to people for years. Mike can attest to this, and I'm talking to people that I door knocked 6 years ago, right? So
yeah,
takes time.
Vincent, what about you? Do you remember how long it took you to get your first client from door knocking?
Yeah, I remember that very well. I think it was about 6 months, my first listing. And that sounds like an awful long time. And it is. That's why it's so important to hang in there, because once you've passed the 6 months mark and you start business coming from door knocking, then you'll always have business, because in the seven, it just keeps coming because you've been consistently since then. Most my and again, my business is mostly listings, and most my listings are from people that I met, I would say, a year or 2 years back at least. So yeah, you just got to trust the process and hang in there, because it's very rare that you meet a person at the door that's ready to go and ready to list right away.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's I'm so glad that you guys touched on that, because something that we see with agents often, and I meet with a lot of brand new agents and have these conversations, and people will say, oh, well, I tried door knocking, but like it didn't work, or I didn't get anything from it. And it's like, well, how many times did you go out? Once, twice? It's something. Consistency is key, right? You have to stick at it. You have to give it time to play out. And it really is about fueling your pipeline. It's not necessarily about the now business.
Yeah, to give you an example. So last year was the lowest numbers of doors I've ever knocked. I only knocked on 5,000 doors last year, when the years before, as I said, it was consistently 27,000 to 32,000. So you would assume, if you just look at these numbers, that last year was not a good year, because I was barely lead generating, although it was by far my most successful and biggest year in my career. And that's because it was resulting from efforts that stemmed 1, 2, 3 years back.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Vincent, you already kind of answered this a little bit in the beginning, but what made you guys, so we'll start with Michael, what made you, Mike, choose door knocking over other forms of lead generation?
Well, for one, I'm not a big social media guy. Two, I hate cold calling, and this is kind of my last option. And I didn't mind getting out, going for a walk, an hour and a half, 2 hours every morning. I do my doors. I get to talk to people, get some fresh air. And then, I go back to the office and I make my follow-up calls. So that there just worked the best for me. You get some exercise, you get some leads, and you get back to following up after that. So I enjoy it. It doesn't even seem like work sometimes.
Amazing. Riley, what about you?
Yeah, a lot of the same. I like being face to face with people. So, cold calling doesn't really work for me. Social media, same as Mike. Yeah, that's why I chose door knocking, getting out. I'm an active guy. I like walking around. I like talking to people face to face. Yeah, face to face. I find that these days it's text messaging and stuff can be interpreted different ways, but when you're face to face having a human to human conversation, you get your point across better.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vincent, so I'm going to assume pretty similar for you. You mentioned you hated cold calling. You tried it for a weekend and that was it for you.
Yeah, and I don't want to put one above the other. Whenever I speak, I always say, look, door knocking worked great for me, but I'm not saying it's better than cold calling. It's really, and that's the beauty about our business. There's so many ways how you can generate business. It's whatever suits you, whatever you enjoy. I think that's the most important thing. If you're enjoying it, you're good. If you don't want to door knock, you're never gonna be good at it. And that's why I don't want to pick up the phone. I'll never be good at it. Mm-hmm. So as long as you enjoy it, and I do enjoy it, I love being outside in the fresh air. I have not missed a single day in 8 years because of weather. And I'm trying to keep that record up. Yeah, I literally enjoy. Yeah, I enjoy it. Obviously, I love it, which sounds a bit weird, but and if that's the case, then yeah, it's easy to do it.
Yeah, And that's the one.
I get sorry,
Yeah,
Stevie. I get better results in the middle of a snowstorm, or people view you as a hard worker, and they seem to be more appreciative when they see you trucking through snow and stuff, and they're actually more inclined to invite you in. You know, if it's freezing, they'll say, "Oh, step in," you know. So yeah, don't let weather. You can always dress up, right?
Yeah. And that's one thing. Anyone who knows these guys is they're all very, very good at being consistent at going out on the doors. But I think anybody who has Vincent on social media will know that, like, it doesn't matter what the weather is like, rain, snow, hot, whatever it is, Vincent's out there doing it no matter what. And that's definitely one of the biggest things that sets him apart from a lot of other agents with door knocking. And so we've got in the comment section, we've got a lot of people asking about your scripting, which is perfect. The next question I want to ask you guys is, what is your go-to script for door knocking? And I think that it's probably quite similar for all three of you. But if you want to give us your script, and someone even asked if you'd be willing to role play. I don't know, Mike and Riley, if you guys want to do a quick role play on this, you do this all the time. Feel free to take it away.
Sure. Ryan, you want to knock me?
Sure.
Okay.
So basically there is a script, and we kind of go off maybe 3 or 4 questions. And after that, it's really just a conversation, and you're just asking questions. That's sales 101, by the way. It's just asking people questions, but sure. So knock, knock.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. My name is Riley. I'm a local realtor. I'm just doing some work in the neighborhood and was wondering if you're planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months.
No, you know what? Probably not that quickly.
No. How long have you been here for?
We've been in here for about 25 years now.
Oh, okay, nice. A long time.
Mm-hmm.
Could you see yourself doing anything next year or two?
It's possible. I'm just waiting to get my package to retire. And then, you know what? My wife's already retired, and then we'll probably downsize somewhere.
Nice. If you were to make a move, do you know where you'd go or what you'd do?
Maybe up to Gravenhurst. We might get a, little house up there. We got some friends that have moved up there, so that might be possible. Nice.
So that's pretty much our script that we go off right there. I know it sounds really simple, but that's our starting point. We ask if you plan on making a move 3 to 6 months. It's usually no. And then you break it up a little bit. How long have you been here for? Just a little breakup point. And then we follow up. Do you see yourself doing it the next year or two? And, a lot of people next year or two, yeah, maybe. And if that's a yes, we keep going. And the big question for us is, if you were to make a move, do you know where you'd go or what you'd do? And if they have an answer for that, Michael just said that, they maybe Gravenhurst or something. If they have an answer for that, then they've at least thought about moving at some point. And that's where you really start diving into more questions and try and turn that into a lead. And that's pretty much our script. After that, you just start asking different questions, right? And try and turn it into a lead. And to us, a lead is a name and a phone number and any other information you can get. You run from there.
Amazing. And so we've got quite a few comments in the chat, and I know some people have some questions. I will get to all of your guys' questions, but Vincent, I'll start with you. I'm going to link 2 of these questions into one, because I think you can all answer this. But Michelle's wanting to know how you guys actually pick the area that you door knock in each day. And they also want to know, do you ever knock the same doors multiple times or follow up with that door? So Vincent, what is that like for you?
That's a good question. It's an important question. I personally mostly knock Aurora, and it works perfectly the size. So I break Aurora down in about 8 different neighborhoods, and I label them 1, 2, 3 to 8. And then I just start number 1. Then when I'm all done, I go number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'll go back to number 1 again. And that turns out that I'm within 1 year, I'll be approximately 3 to 4 times at the same door. And I think that's a good rhythm. So you're back at every door, let's say every 3 months. That means you're not there every other week. You're not like barking them, but you're often enough so they recognize you. And so I tell people, look, if you're looking into door knocking and you want to figure out the size, or you can call it a farm that works good for you, see how many doors you can do in 3 months. Just start door knocking 3 months. That's your size, because that means after 3 months, you'll go back again to your first door. That means you're there every four times a year. So that's a good size. Yeah, and other than that, I don't really try to overcomplicate it or overthink it, where I'm going to knock. I don't keep track who was home or who wasn't home. Real estate is a numbers game, we always say, and that's the truth. You just go, you ask. 99% or 95% of people, they don't want to move. That's a reality. So you move on to the next one, next, until you find that one nugget. And then that's when your skills are more important to really capture that lead. And then later you goes to nurturing that lead and so on. But yeah, keep it simple. Just start and do one street after the other. And after 3 months, you go back to the same street again. If you have it just sold, just listed, you can change from that, and maybe you do a bit of circle prospecting around as well. But yeah, it's in the numbers. Just the only goal I set myself at the beginning of the year is the numbers of door I knock, because I know if I do 30,000 doors, I will get that specific result. So
yeah, that's incredible. And like you said, it's a numbers game, right? Like at the end of the day, real estate is a numbers game and lead generation is a numbers game. So you're trying to talk to as many people as you can to get that yes answer, because the more people you talk to, the more likely you're going to get someone to finally say yes. So that's exactly what it is. And so Michael and Riley, same thing with you. I know, for example, at this point in time, Riley is pretty much known as the king of Holland Landing. People basically know him by name there because he's gone through that same area so many times. And what about you guys? How often do you knock the same door, and how do you decide where you're going to door knock each day?
Yeah, so I think it's good to either knock around where you live or knock around where you grew up. Oftentimes they're the same thing. People appreciate local. People appreciate you knowing the areas inside and out. I can say that's helped my business a lot and my results a lot. Yeah, I mean, when I start, I say, I'm a local realtor. And even at the end, I say, okay, if you know anyone else in the neighborhood, I live in town, so please keep me in mind, stuff like that. It really sticks with people, because they do get door knockers once in a while from Thornhill or from Markham. They're just looking around a neighborhood for maybe a client. So when they see someone local, they really appreciate that for sure.
Nice. And Mike, I mean, I'm pretty similar situation.
Yeah, like I door knock all the Newmarket, some of Aurora, and then I'll do parts of Keswick, and I just kind of cycle through those. Yeah, I'm probably more like two times a year. I'll visit the neighborhood that I live in more often, just because I do farm it, and I'm doing that about 3 times a year. But everywhere else, I'm revisiting the doors, every door in Newmarket at least twice.
Okay, amazing. So next question I will ask all you guys is sorry, just a minute here. What's one piece of advice that you would give to somebody, either that's brand new to door knocking, brand new in the industry, whatever it is? What's one piece of advice you would give about door knocking or lead generation in general?
Just do it. It's not difficult. Like the more you do, the more you get. And you know what, don't complicate it. I mean, you just keep the scripts very, very simple. And you know what, at the end of the conversation, you're going to ask for their information to keep in touch. And if they don't want to give it to you, you know what, you're just going to be prying at these people all the time. Go knock on another 20 doors. You'll get a lead that'll be more than happy to give their information to you.
Riley, what about you?
Yeah, just consistency. There have been times over the past 6 years where I haven't been consistent. I can get distracted easily, or I get caught up in other things. I can say that I haven't been as consistent over the years as Vincent or Mike, and when I'm not, it shows in my business. If I spend a couple months where I'm really slacking on my doors, I'll notice that 6 months later. So I think, starting, just going out and doing it, like Mike said, and then staying consistent with it for sure.
Amazing. Vincent?
I would give 3 pieces of advice. Treat it like a job, like it is your job. So, sorry, I'm not there. Here you go. It is a job. So, yeah, although we don't really have a boss, you're your own boss, and you should be your strictest boss. So it's your job. You go to work every day, or whenever you decide you do your door knocking, but be consistent. Learn about nonverbal communication. Read books, or just do it while you're on the job. I think it's the most important thing when you're face to face, and it's also your most important weapon, or when you're out there, because you can people opening the door, being mad that you're there. It can take 2 seconds, and they'll smile at you, and you learn to read, and you learn when to go and ask for their email. It's super important. You'll learn it while you're doing it, but if you study it, you'll have a bigger advantage. And I think the most important advice that I can give is be grateful. Be grateful that you have the ability to even do that. Think about the person that's in a wheelchair, the person that's in bed, can walk, whatever it might be, the person that's blind. You can see, you can walk, you can talk. Don't take that for granted. And you don't have to go door knock. You can door knock. And if you go, I was out today, and today was a terrible day. I think it was one of the top 10 worst days ever, because it was so cold, and it would have been easy to give up. But then, yeah, you just think about it. I can be out here. If you keep an attitude of gratitude, it's much easier.
Wow.
Keep that in mind. Yeah.
That's incredible, Vincent. That's a huge, like so much in life, mindset is really, really powerful. And that right there, that's incredible. Someone did want to know, do you guys have marketing pieces that you leave with them when you go door knocking?
They all look the same, I think.
Yeah. I'm sitting on Rachel's desk here, but this is our door knocking card. Pretty simple. It says free home evaluation on the back, but they're longer because we can stick these in the door easier. If we knock on 100 doors, maybe 20, 25 people will answer. That means you're leaving 75 of these behind. They're pretty simple. Just our names, our info. We offer like a free home evaluation on the back, just something to offer, I suppose. But that's it. I'll usually in my binder, we always have a binder with us. I'll keep in a couple pieces of maybe our home magazines or something, in case, people are interested, and I can leave that with them. But for the most part, that's it.
Yeah. And so Vincent's is very similar, and Mike and Riley are on the same team. So Michael's is the same as well. Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, it's true that the door knocking cards, they're almost like a bookmark shape. They make it a lot easier for people to stick them in the door. So that's too funny. So the last question I'm going to ask you guys, because I want to make sure we get off of here in time and respect everybody's time. I would love to know, in as much detail as you guys can recall. Vincent, we'll start with you. Looking back at it, does anything stand out to you as what your best experiences in door knocking have been, and your worst experience in door knocking has been?
Well, I remember when I was starting, I was pretty fresh in maybe 2 years only, and I knocked at the door and actually met the cleaning lady, and the cleaning lady told me the owners are selling, and I somehow it got me one of my first listing, and it was a huge one. It was, back then it was big. Now it was over $2 million, and kind of opened up the gates for me to got more high-end luxury listings. And yeah, it's all because I met the cleaning lady. Then that's the beauty of it. The business will come from some angle to you as long as you're out there. Bad experiences, I don't think I've had a really terrible experience. I mean, I'm also obviously like I'm a big guy, and it doesn't take much to intimidate me. I once got invited into a house in Toronto that was an absolute drug cave. The guy looked normal at the door and told me about houses he has and stuff, and maybe thinking about selling this one. And if I want to have a quick look, I usually don't go in just because it slows me down. So I say, you know what, I'll be happy to come back. And if I want to be best prepared, and I'll bring some comparables that can provide you with a proper market evaluation. But I did, again, I was pretty fresh in there. So I went in, and there were about, I don't want to scare people off, but there were about 5 or 7 people completely out of it, lying on the couch, and it was a huge mess, drugs everywhere.
Wow.
But I was in Toronto, so it's pretty Aurora, you guys don't have to worry.
No,
so I got out again pretty quick, but it wasn't a terrible, like no one really threatened me or something. So yeah, I can't think of a terrible experience. Most experiences are great. They somehow lead to a listing, to great relationships, and yeah.
Wow, amazing. That's incredible. Riley, what about you? Best and worst experiences that you can think of with door knocking?
Best experiences. There've been many. I'd say early in my career, it was probably the slowest point in my career. I went out door knocking, and I did my 100 doors that morning. It was it was December or January. It was tons of snow on the ground. And I did my doors, no leads. I think it was a bad week. I hadn't had any leads, and I didn't have much to do in the afternoon. So I went and grabbed a slice of pizza. I warmed up, and I said, I'm gonna go back out. I'm gonna go look for some more business. And I went. I think I knocked on like 50 more doors, and I got 2 leads. One was a listing appointment. I ended up listing their house 2 weeks later. It was a great sale. Lovely people. They ended up buying a house, and they ended up referring me to their son as well. And I still stay in touch with them all the time. And then the other lead, I know it specifically. I still talk to them all the time. So I was just really frustrated. I was on a bad streak, and it was probably my worst year in real estate so far. Not that it was a bad year, but it was one of my lesser years. And I just said, I got nothing else to do. I'm going to go back out, and it paid off. So that one always sticks with me. Bad experience, I don't really have any, like Vincent. It might sound lame, but not doing it is probably my worst experiences. Because like I mentioned before, there have been times where I haven't been consistent, and that's shown months later in my business for sure. So.
Oh no, that's good. Not doing it is your worst experience.
Just not doing it.
Yeah. Michael, what about you? Best and worst experiences in door knocking that you can
best experiences. I've had one door knock that, leaded into, I'd say at least 7 or 8 deals. So like, you just meet one person at the right time, and you're there, and you sell a couple houses for them. You do a great job. They introduce you to their friends. And you know what, I still keep in touch with these people, and they're my friends now. And there's a bunch of stories I could say that's happened from door knocking. And if I wasn't out on that door that day, I never would have made those deals or those connections going forward. Worst experiences, probably slipping on some ice in front of somebody's house. That's pretty embarrassing.
Dogs. The only.
Oh yeah, I have a dog story too. Yeah, I got a dog story. I was in Sharon on the big properties there, and I guess they had like a dog on one of those electric collars, and he just ripped out of the back of the house, and he's barking at me, and I'm in their sunroom in the front, so I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to get out of here, and like I'm knocking on the door for these guys to get their dog. And I probably stayed about 20 minutes in there. Eventually they had a like Christmas decorations, and they had like a big pine cone. So I threw it and the dog chased it and I ran off the property. But it took me 20 minutes to figure that one out because I was scared.
Those are the only awkward moments when you knock on their door, and a lot of people have dogs, and big dogs are barking and trying to get through the door, and they're opening the door a crack, and you're trying to, say your script, and it's just like, this is a waste of time. I got to get out of here.
That's it. That's so true. I remember when I was trained on door knocking again with one of our old team leaders, and we were walking and he had said to me, like, we knocked on a door and a dog started barking. He was like, "Oh, I hate dogs." And I was like, "What? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, how could you possibly hate dogs?" And he's like, "No, like, just like in door knocking." He's like, "Believe me, you'll learn." And as time went on, yeah, you start to learn, like when people have dogs, that is one of the biggest challenges when you're trying to have a conversation with them and their dog's barking or they're trying to like hold it back. And it's just like, it definitely makes it quite difficult for sure. But okay.
Many times, dogs have gotten out over the years, and I've spent 20 minutes with this random person that I haven't even started talking to, trying to get their dog, and it's awkward.
Oh my God. That is too funny. Okay. So I know Mike and Riley, I think you guys have a hard out at 1:50 here. So thank you so much for joining. And I really appreciate it if you need to leave. Vincent, I would love just for a minute, we had a few questions come in here.
Yeah, sure. Gotta plug my phone in.
Yeah, I got one, but I was just reading the one from Stuart there. Yeah, sometimes you are still competing, but I would say that more times than not, you're pretty much in the clear, especially if it's somebody you door knocked and you followed up with them for like 2-3 years and you just kept in touch. I would say those ones there, you usually get in without any competition, but I'd say about 50-50 for sure on that one. Anyways, I got to run. If anybody wants to reach out to me to chat further down the road, I'm going to leave my cell phone here. Reach out if you have any questions. If I don't answer, I'm probably on the road. I'll get back to you later, but be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Michael.
Myself as well. Thanks for listening. And, we're at Newmarket. If anyone ever has any questions, give us a call or pop by. Happy to help you. Whoever said bring dog treats with you, that's a pretty smart and clever idea too.
I was going to say that.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I like that. So
amazing. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Stevie.
Awesome. So Vincent, a couple questions for you. Just we've got a couple questions in the chat if you don't mind. Someone said when you were revisiting, then a couple months down the road, you bring along a type of market report or stats for the neighborhood. Like, do you ever do that, or what does that look like for you?
No, I don't really bring anything with me other than my door knocking card. Obviously, I live in Aurora. I work Aurora. I'm like a bit obsessed with the MLS, so I basically know what's happening. If anybody has a question, or when I'm in a specific street, I know what has sold. So I do talk about that, but I don't bring anything special with me.
Okay. Do you ever bring like a list when you go out door knocking? Do you bring like a list of the recent solds in the area or anything, or you just know because you study it so much?
Yeah, I don't put a list down. Sometimes what I used to do in the past is when I went out, I might just use the MLS app and cut the street and just took a snapshot of what has sold in case someone opens a conversation, and I can just quickly open and say this, that's the exact prices it went for. So, but I don't overcomplicate it.
Amazing. Okay. Is there anyone, I'm just going to open it up for a few questions. If anyone has anything that they want to unmute and ask, Vincent? Do we have anyone that has a question?
Can I? Hi, everybody. Hi, Stevie. Hi, Vincent.
Hi, Jerez.
Yeah, so my question is next. My understanding, you are blocking the time for the door knocking pretty much every single day. How are you arranging the other part of the business? I mean, the appointments, the follow-up callings and stuff like that. And especially when you have listing and what to do on that listing.
I think door knocking is my priority. I'm 8 years in the business. I think I never had a listing appointment, or maybe 2 or 3 maximum, that were in the morning, I just set the listing appointments up in the afternoon or evening. You have to protect that time, because that's the beginning of your business. If you like lead generating leads to leads, they lead to appointment, that leads to listings, that leads to business. So it's the first thing on the tree. And if you don't have that, then you're not going to have the leads, you're not going to have appointments, and you're not going to have listings. So I think I just protect it. It's non-negotiable. Obviously, if someone calls me and says, I need you to come list my house at 10 a.m. this morning, then I will make an exception. But other than that, I don't show houses in the morning, and I don't go on appointments in the morning.
Amazing. Farhan, you have your hand up.
Yes, I had a couple follow-up questions to some of the answers we got. My first question is, what is your transition or transition to the close to ask for that lead? Like, is it like, can I get your email or phone number to send you some information? And once they do give you your contact or their contact, what type of material do you send them to stay in touch with them and potentially turn them into a serious client 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road? I know it's a lot of things are through command. Stephanie showed me smart plans are a good option. It's just, I was curious on what kind of conversations and what kind of engagement are you trying to create through that? Like, what gets the engagement going? That's my question.
Good. So going to closing someone at the door, again, at the door, I'm not trying to list their house. I'm trying to build up trust, and I only have limited time for that. And I'm trying to gather information so I can start being in touch with these people and kind of win them over time. The question I ask when it comes to, again, when they tell me they might have plans, and we talk a little bit what their plans look like, when I feel like it's the right moment, I look them in the eye and I said, wonderful, would you allow me to keep in touch with you? And then I just shut up. I don't say a word anymore. It's a hard question to say no to, because it's kind of, if I say, would you allow me to keep in touch with you? It's like, no one wants to disallow things, right? So people usually give me like, yeah, sure, why not? And at this point, I just got my pen down already, said, amazing, what's the best email address to keep in touch with you? Then I start talking, and I never let them stop talking. So while they're still giving me the end of their email address, I'm already saying, and what phone number is good to be in touch with you? And just let them talk. I basically all you need is the phone number and the email, because you can look them up on Geo Warehouse. You got their names, you know what the house is like. So yeah, I just go for the email address first and then right into the phone number.
Awesome. I really like that, because I've been in sales all my life, and when you ask for that close, you don't talk after, right? So I was really trying to figure out something that's kind of passive aggressive close. So what you said, that is really good. I really like that.
And there's another one, but I don't really use it. It's find it a bit silly, but it works great. Say, hey, will you be offended if I'd ask you for your email address?
Right.
And, no, of course not. Why would I be offended, right? No, great. What is it? Would you be offended if I'd ask you for your email address? It's a kind question, but it's a bit sneaky. You can barely say no to that.
Right. That's awesome. I really like that. So yeah, I went door knocking a few days in the past couple weeks, and I was told that don't ask for the hard business right away. Like, if you're looking to sell, or do you know anyone, or just kind of casually put it there, because I am in a new neighborhood. I'm just getting to know the people. But yeah, my question, another follow-up would have been like, what type of things do you send them after you get the contact to ensure that when they are listing or they are buying, they're giving you a call, they're not calling anybody else or signing up with someone else? What kind of things or what kind of value do you provide them that keeps you in their mind?
So after I meet them at the door, and they gave me their contact information back at the office, I sent them a letter just to thank them for having taken the time to talk to me. And if they have any questions, anything, please reach out anytime. So when you're new in the business, and I did that for a long time, but I stopped. I would do handwritten cards. I have now a pre-printed letter that I just sign. But if you have the time and the handwriting for it, which I don't, send them a handwritten card and just thank them for, the fact that they took the time to speak with you. And then about 7 to 10 days after I initially met them, I give them a call and just say, hey, it's Vincent Bongard with Keller Williams Realty here in Aurora. I don't know if you remember me, but I met you last week when I was working in the street, and I just wanted to quickly say hi, and also want to make sure you received the letter I've sent with my business card in there. Great, wonderful. And just wanted to make sure I wrote down the right email address. Is it nancy.smith@me.com? Yes, wonderful, great. So as I said, just wanted to quickly check in and hope you're doing well. And if you need anything, please feel free to reach out. So that way, they met me at the door, they got a letter, and now they get a phone call, and that's all within 10 days. Now I believe I would be on top of their mind. Right. I'm not going to call them every 3 days anymore, of course. What I now do is I kind of qualify the lead. If it's someone that's super hot, going to do something that spring, I would be in touch more often. But again, if Nancy told me they're going to be retired probably next year and moving to Nova Scotia, then I'll probably call her every 2-3 months from now and just check in until things will heat up.
That's awesome. I really like that. It really shows how to get it to a serious client, because that's what I was having issues with. So I really appreciate that answer. Thank you.
Welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
I have that same poster of Muhammad Ali as well. So love that.
So I think basically, guys, after, and I think Mike Riley and Vincent can all agree with this, after you get the lead at that point, it's the follow-up, right? It's lead gen and lead follow-up. It's part 1A and 1B. You can't have one without the other. So, it's not even necessarily about sending them stuff and whatever. It's just keeping in contact with them, making sure that, you're calling them consistently enough so that when the time comes that they are looking to do something, you're the one that's calling them. And other than that, I do want to respect everyone's time. It's 2:00 now. So thank you so much, Vincent. We really, really appreciate it. And
my pleasure.
I'm sure all the guys would, if you guys have any further questions, you can reach out to them. And
any time, whatever you guys need, I'm always here. There's nothing I like talking more about than door knocking. So you'll find me, just come by.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Vincent. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Thanks for having me on, Stevie. Have a good day.
Thank you. Vincent, can you drop your contact in the chat?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. We'll do that. I will do that.
Thank you so much. It was a great training session here.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. All right. Did everyone get his email? Just want to make sure. Okay. Awesome. Bye, guys.